Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Playground Masterclass. I'm Sandy Herrera, and I'm super excited to talk today about self-trust. And those of you that get my emails, I kind of did a little preface to this. And I wanted to, I know Shiva's going to be joining us here in just a second as well to come on and have this conversation with me. If there's anyone else that's here that wants to kind of chime in and be a part of the conversation, definitely just raise your hand and I will bring you onto video. Ward, hello, great to see you. Let me know if you want to come on video. Just go ahead and do a little hand raise in the background and I will bring you on board. If there's anyone else that is joining us on Zoom, or if you are watching us on Facebook, we can see your comments there as well. So super important topic. Happy summer to those of you that are already on summer break. I know some of you are not on summer break yet. You still have another couple weeks left, or maybe you are somewhere around the world and you are just kind of mid-semester. Wherever you're at in your journey of education, welcome to our Playground Masterclass. And hi, Shiva. Shiva's joining us from the car again. She is multitasking mama, educator, all things, right? With a senior. Anyone else resonate out there having seniors and all of the things that are going on? So much on your plate right now, Shiva. I am so grateful that you are here and joining us as always. And for this crazy important topic, we've touched on this before, but it's been a bit, and I wanted to have my yoga ball behind me. I keep saying I'm going to swap out my chair and actually sit on it, and I haven't done it all day. I say it every call that I'm on. I'm like, oh, I need to do that. Maybe I'll do that by tomorrow. Trust, right? There is this conversation. We're just going to go deep fast because the conversation, like, we could talk for hours and hours on this. These last couple months, like, I have been doing some deep introspection, and I know a lot of you have been doing it as well. When the world's on fire, when there's chaos around us, we just do. We go, is this worth it? Like, what am I supposed to be doing in this life? Because right now this is really hard, and I'm not sure that this is the thing I'm meant to be doing. And no matter what it is. So for me, going through this empty nester phase, you know, my son moved into his own apartment a couple weeks ago. I'm getting ready to move states. I will share a little bit more about that. I'll probably do a live about it, so I don't want to talk too much about it right now. Really looking to pivot educator dynamics in a way that really can serve more educators. And so really a lot of introspection on really who am I showing up as in the world and what do I truly want? And I know, Shiva, as you're getting ready to send your third child off into the world of adulting, if you can call college is kind of adulting. It's like soft adulting, right? It's college is, I don't know if anyone else would call it that. That's weird.
It's starter pack adulting.
It's starter pack adulting, right? It's not full-fledged adulting. Even with my son, I'm like, okay, like you're paying rent now, so come July 1st, you're gonna be paying your car insurance too. Like, you're like, I'm doing like full adulting. Also cover your cell phone so you're not full adulting, but we're gonna be about 95% of the way there. It's such a nice mom to be easing him into the world of adulting. With all of that being said, it's a time to really get deeply curious. Like, what do we truly want? What is it? And I talk about this in terms of our cultures. I talk about this in terms of our relationships, in terms of ourselves, our lives, our homes, our, like, all of it. Oftentimes we make decisions based upon past programming, based upon beliefs that have come from somewhere, right? Whether it's our experiences, our families, beliefs come from lots of places. We can often make decisions based upon societal pressures, right? What we quote unquote should do or shouldn't do. And when we are making decisions from these places, a belief that no longer serves us, a societal pressure, I'm supposed to, in anything in that realm, are we really making the decision from the perspective of what is for our highest and best as an individual? Not necessarily.
No,
right? No.
no.
I mean, could it work out? Maybe, and maybe only temporarily, right? I have bumped my head up against more walls than I care to admit sometimes. Who else, right? Right? 12 hands if we had them. We got 10 fingers, 10 toes. Can we use all of them? And as I'm learning, and I'm mid in this learning journey, this hero's journey of mine that keeps on giving, around listening to myself, around trusting my intuition, trusting those gut instincts, the weird thoughts, the weird pulls, I don't know where that came from, but oh no, and I resist it, I end up in this space where when it keeps nudging at me, and I keep ignoring it, I usually end up in a bigger mess than had I listened to it in the beginning. Can you relate? Have you been there?
Yes.
She was like, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe yes.
You don't want to admit it? Do you want to admit it, right? Do you want to admit that we've all had a nudge, an inkling, a something that we haven't listened to? And my past relationship, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, even though it's been a couple of years now. There were so many times along the way that I knew that it wasn't right, yet I wanted it to be. And I wanted it to be so badly that I ignored that. I was like, well, I can fix if I just, I know myself well enough that as soon as I start saying that, I am out of alignment with my self-trust, with my values, with all of it. And that ripple of impact into one-on-one relationships, into teams, into organizational health, into like all of it. When I really pay attention, it's a pretty big cost. And oftentimes we're not paying attention to that cost. And we end up blaming things that are outside of us. When in reality, we've abandoned ourselves. And that's what we're really angry at. Right? And that's a hard mirror, really hard mirror to look in. Shiva, do you have a time when you've like had to look in a hard mirror? And
almost every day.
I love your radical honesty.
But but just like you're saying, Sandy, I mean, I think trusting yourself, right, and really following your intuition and listening to all of that, it's a process. At least it is for me. Because it was almost like you were reading my mail just now. I'm like, how dare her? But it's the truth. My family expects these things. I had these things set up in my mind about how things should be. And knowing that these things don't necessarily feel right, it's like, no, but it's what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people who I feel I know how to be committed mm-hmm. to ideals mm-hmm. and to keep people happy and not to rock the boat more than I'm committed to what feels right for me. Yeah. And it's really not, I mean, I know I'm self-aware, mm-hmm. but as far as really trusting myself, I've only went through that process just within the last few years. you know? So yeah, it's a process for me, Sandy. So have I had to take a hard look and say, you know what are we doing, Sheba? So many times. Like I can't even, it's countless.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily feel pleasant. And the biggest thing for me, as I've gone through so many of these unpleasantries, right, is sitting still with it and not numbing it, feeling it with love and grace, as if I were with, someone that I loved more than anyone in the world. And how much grace would I give them if they were feeling what I was feeling? And oftentimes it's rooted in shame and guilt and resentment and fear and abandonment and wounds that just keep on, like, and then you feel it on a visceral level, and it's just this. And my reaction for a really long time was to not feel it. I got this, like I can armor up, right? Strong, independent woman, I can handle it. Or I would go for the glass of wine, or 2 or 3 or 4. Oops, there went the bottle. Or I would endlessly scroll on social, or I would go to binge watch TV, or I would go to call a friend to distract and talk all about them, or I would distract myself. And sometimes I still do. But now I just do it and go, you know what, I'm going to give myself permission to do this for a little bit. And then I'm going to go back to, like, if for some, like, I'm just going to be aware that that's what I'm choosing. So I'm going to choose it consciously, right? And then the other part that actually has been a really good gift for me is to feel it. So when I feel tears and that wave of emotion coming, is to go, just going to let it come. I'm going to let it flow. And the more I let it flow, the more I trust myself to let it flow, that I won't cry forever. Very first marriage counselor that I ever saw, I remember her telling me that, because she was, I can imagine what I looked like on her couch at that point in time. This was early 2000s, and just very, very armored up. And she's like, I promise that you won't cry forever. Like you can let it out. I'm like, but I will. It'll be like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, and I had so much that I was holding, and I was like, it's too much. And those words have really stuck with me. But it's only been in the past year or 2 that I've actually learned to harness that as a gift to myself, that I can feel it. And oftentimes when I do, it's like a 3 to 5 minute release. And then I'm like, oh, I can breathe. And now I can truly hear myself, to then get to that place where I can trust myself. Then I can make decisions, right? But I can't make decisions from that armored up, avoidant, anxious, triggered, whatever state that I'm in, that's not allowing my executive functioning to be all there. We witness this in children, right?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. You witness it in your students, right?
Oh, goodness. Yes.
When do they make good decisions?
And I teach freshmen, bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts.
And they're sad, and it's like, are you okay? I am so fine. I'm like, okay.
I've started saying lately, I'm fake fine. I'm fake. At least I'm owning that I'm fake fine. I'm fake fine.
Yeah.
So when we think about trust, we often don't think about trusting ourselves. We think about trust with someone else, right? It's like, I can trust this thing to work for me. I can trust this person to hold my secrets. I can trust this person, that I can rely on them. Any one of the Anatomy of Trust acronym that Brene Brown has created. Like, we can call on those different pieces, but they're usually outside of ourselves. Here's the trick, is that if we work on all of those components of trust internally, those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, those actions that have nothing to do with anyone else, and we align those first, the ripple of impact on the trusting relationships that will happen around us just happens without realizing it. I was working with a team at a middle school, and we had done some work on self-trust, and then we were working on team trust, and we did a speed trust dating exercise, which is super fun. And then soon it was like, I didn't see them for a month in between, and I came back a month later, and I was like, so tell me good stuff. That's how I always start every meeting. Tell me good stuff. And they were like, well, the staff has like been super appreciative of us recently, and we don't know what's changed, and like we haven't done anything different. It's like, yes, you have. Like, recognize that your internal work is creating external results, and that is the work. And so the consciousness of that, the time and attention that you can pay to who you show up as in the world, that's what creates the culture you desire. And when as we go into here in the Northern Hemisphere, our summer months, our summer break, I know so many educators are going through a lot of introspection, a lot of, do I even want to be an educator anymore? Do I even want to work in the system of education anymore? With what's happened in Texas, what's happened, I don't even want to like list, right? It's horrific that we even have a list of the tragedies that have happened in our schools, and that continue to happen in different degrees, right? All over our country. It's not okay. We've been saying it's not okay for a long time. And we get to make mental wellness our priority. And it starts with trusting our intuitions, trusting that we as educators are brilliant and wise and have all of the superpowers within us to do what's best for ourselves and our students. We all have it within us. We're not waiting for someone else to tell us how to do it or to fix things. We get to be advocates. We get to make our mental wellness and the mental well-being of our students the priority all the time, not just on Mental Health Day, not just at an assembly, not just in every freaking micro moment. Our mental wellness and the mental wellness of those around us, especially our students, gets to be the priority. It gets to be the priority. And we all know that. Everyone is having this conversation, and it's time that we trust ourselves to actually do it every day. And it's not easy, especially when we have the world around us, societal pressures telling us we should be anti this and we should be anti that and we should blame this and blame that and blame. Yes, no, right? No, where do we want to flow? Where do we want to be? Let's focus on what we do want. We know this, right? When we focus on what we do want, we get more of it. Whatever we focus on expands. We know this. The secret's been out for a really long time. Yeah, as if that were the only piece of information that shared that wisdom, right? When we look at universal laws, we look at universal wisdom. What we focus on expands. So let's focus on what we do want. We do want our mental well-being. Our brains are connected to the rest of our bodies. Just like, I saw someone the other day say, it's like vision insurance being different than health insurance. Like, because our eyeballs are not part of our bodies? Like, what do you mean? Come on. Our brains are connected to the rest of our bodies. Our hearts are connected to the rest of our bodies. Our hearts send more signals to our brain than the other way around. Our intuition is strong, and it's time that we trust it. And it's time that we trust each other for our intuition, and we have those conversations and we get curious with it and we decide, is it serving us? Is it not? And how can we show up as the best version of ourselves? And it's from that position of strength. Shiva, I know you have so many examples, and I've actually been witness to it sometimes, which is brilliant when I see you coaching other teachers. When you are leading from your position of strength, when you are just leading from your intuitive guidance, not from some book, some anything, just what you know will help guide them to get the best out of their students. Can you describe a time like that when you just trusted your instincts to help a colleague to amplify their brilliance? So many.
Well, and that's just so many times, Sandy. I can't even, I'm not to say like, oh, I'm just the guru of instructional coaching, but instructional coaching, that's a field that isn't really well defined yet. They say teacher, leader, etc. So I think that especially when we had to come back to school after, so you had the pandemic happen 2020, right? Here's COVID. And then when teachers had to come back and they were in the building, the students weren't, but then had to go through the whole virtual learning thing. I think I really had to depend on my intuition to really guide teachers through that, because it was new for all of us. And that for me, Sandy, looked like a lot of honesty about how I didn't know if it was going to turn out well. I didn't know if we were going to be able to engage all of the students initially. But when I was talking to those teachers, I just helped with some of the small things, maybe if it was a technology problem. And it felt right to say, now, if we can get through this together, and when something new comes up that either one of us knows, we're going to find it and we're going to work through it. And our kids are going to be okay, and we're going to be fine. And sometimes, Sandy, that's just what people needed. That's what my teachers needed to hear from a coach, is that I'm not alone here. And that's what felt right. I don't know if a textbook would have said that.
Exactly. It's that humanizing everything. We're humans first, right? And then all the other roles come on to who we are and how we show up in the world. There's not often a reason why our intuition's telling us something. There's not a logical, quote unquote, reason. But when you know, and the more you practice, even when it's scary, the easier it gets. And we're in this together as conscious educators. That's what this playground is about, is we're not alone. We're together. We're trusting our intuitive brilliance. We're trusting ourselves. We're trusting each other, that this is a safe space for us to all be seen, heard, and valued. And that you all are doing this work day in and day out in classrooms, in schools, showing up in the face of adversity. And it's really vital that you know you're not alone. And trust, even when you can't see it, if there is that deep knowing, go for it. Go for it. And I know a lot of you are on the fence about even coming back to the world of education after this summer break. Explore that. If you want to have a conversation, reach out to me and my team. We're happy to have conversations with you, for you to really uncover, is it symptoms you're trying to fix, or is it root cause of what shifts you need to make? Can you make certain shifts and stay where you're at? Or is it really about moving forward into a new opportunity? My wish for all of you is that you find that place that is true and aligned for you, that is not contained with shoulds. that is truly you trusting yourself and going, I'm jumping. I got this. I got this, right? I got this. I got this. And we're all going to be right next to you saying, yep, you got this. And we've got you when it's scary. And you're not alone. So together we are in this education revolution. And whether you are part of the grassroots movement to revolutionize education from the inside out, or whether you are part of the new world of education that is growing and emerging, either place or both, we love you. And you're in the right place at the right time, and you are here for a reason. And I am so grateful to all of you for being a part of this community, for joining Shiva and I each Thursday for these chats as we grow and learn together. And if you guys have topics that you want to cover, if you have situations you want to cover, definitely send us a message. We are all ears. You want to have a one-on-one conversation, there's something going on in your world that you need support on, let us know. If we can't support you, we'll point you in the right direction, or we will uncover it together. This is not an easy time. And as educators, we're in this together. So we've got you, and you are safe, seen, heard, and valued. And I can't wait to see you all next Thursday. And Shiva, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the last little bits of sending your third child off into the world.
Woo!
And we will be celebrating with you. All right, everybody. Love you all. See you soon. Bye, everybody.